Well, we're 99 days away from spring training. Well, pitchers and catchers reporting. It's basically free agent season. What are the Astros going to do? There's a lot of questions to be answered. Eric and I will tackle a few tonight on this edition of Locked on Astros.
Jainer Diaz, this is Locked on Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked on Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked on Houston Astros, and we update you join us for a daily Locked on Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. He's Brett Chancey, and we hope that you make us your daily routine, whether it's on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to us. Go ahead and make us your first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, go ahead and check us out. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. So I know, Brett, the Dodgers won the World Series again. So we'll go ahead and talk briefly about that series, about what we saw, and about what the Astros kind of need to do to get to that level like they were earlier in the 2020. So can they get back to that? And free agency sort of begins today. I know that official free agency period begins on the 5th, but the teams can now negotiate with their own free agents. So we'll talk about that. And I know also you want to talk about an interesting name that did opt out of his deal with his current team. So we'll talk about that. But hey, go ahead and stay tuned to the Locked on Astros podcast all offseason. We'll keep you up to date on whatever is going on around. And Brett, that World Series, I don't even give a crap about either one of those teams, but that was a stressful Game 7, right?
Yeah, it was. And you thought that the Blue Jays had it in the bag, and that's why you have to get all 27 outs to be the victor. You can't have 24 outs and win. You got to get all 27, and the Dodgers scratched and they clawed. But I can say this: I do think that even though the Dodgers won and they won back-to-back World Series, and this is no disrespect to them, the Blue Jays had the better team. The Blue Jays had overall the better pitching. Their offense was a lot more powerful. The Dodgers just did the right things in the right moments. And, sometimes in baseball, you don't have to be the better team to win. And like I say, I'm not throwing shade at the Dodgers. I mean, clearly the first back-to-back World Series champs since the Yankees did it at the turn of the century, dating back to 2000 and the 2 years prior to that where they went back-to-back. The scary thing is if they get their pitching house in order and they go after some free agent arms, and they shore up their bullpen, they probably turn a favorite to win next year as well. Yamamoto was amazing. Guys like Kike Hernandez, and then last night their unsung hero hitting that, Miguel Rojas hitting that home run, who has not hit a home run all year off of right-handed pitching. And his wife had told him the last 3 games, you're going to hit a home run and it's going to matter. And he finally did it. And so look, as much as we like to throw crap at the Dodgers, and, we know that they give us plenty. What do you say? You got to tip your hat to them, because the Blue Jays, for all intents and purposes, should have won that game. And it did come down to, a runner not properly running the bases. But then again, there's a lot of other things you could point to. Did that ball really stick under the wall? There's a lot of little things here and there. But it was a closely contested World Series. It was fun to watch. And so, you know what? It's over with. Now it's time to talk Astros baseball, right?
Well, before we move on from that, this is a 6th straight year a team with a player by the name of Will Smith wins the World Series. So if you are a baseball player and your name is Will Smith, go ahead and I'm sure teams are rushing out to sign these type guys, because history can't lie. These guys are winners. So whether it's Will Smith, the pitcher, or Will Smith, the catcher, it just they seem to get the job done. And the Astros, they want to get back to where they are, but the Dodgers have built this juggernaut. I know there's a lot of talk about possible lockout down the road or whatever whatever that talk is, but the Dodgers have this. They don't have a limit of how much they can spend. They can go out there and get Shohei Ohtani, even though they didn't really pay as much as the Angels would have. But they can go out and get the players that they need. A team like the Astros, they probably could, but it's not. I'm not saying Jim Crane is cheap, but they just have certain constraints that they have to stay under. And so that's where the Astros are right now. And so they're having to compete. But Brett, I saw something that came out from Fox today that the Astros have the fourth best odds of going to the 2026 World Series.
Oh, I had heard
they're tied with the
fourth best, huh?
Yeah, it's fourth. They're tied with the Mariners. I think they're right behind the Phillies, of course, the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. So it's like something like that. So the Mariners they're tied. I think it's plus 1,300. But the Astros, people are still giving the Astros respect. I think in Houston, we have become a little bit, they're done. But I think people see what this team is still all about. And I think with a couple of tweaks here and there, maybe they can get things done. But who knows? That's what is so exciting about this offseason. We saw what Dana Brown did. I think he fell a little short with adding depth last year. He got a whole bunch of pieces for Kyle Tucker, but I still think that maybe if he got another starting pitcher, maybe got another left-handed bat, this whole last season would have been a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, definitely. And I do want to post this up here, and for our listening audience, I will let you know what it is I'm posting. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, you need to go check it out. You can watch us. Where the Astros are right now, the only clear free agents, and we mentioned them before, Framber Valdez, Victor Caratini, Brennan Rodgers, Hector Neris. We've got a ton of arbitration eligible players, about $71.5 million worth. And on this list, I see guys like McCormick probably not coming back. I see Taylor Trammell probably not coming back. Roman Urias probably not going to come back. Jesus Sanchez, I don't know, but you've got a lot of guys in there. And so the Astros right now are really, they're not at an impasse, but they're at a place where they're going to be forced to make some moves. They're going to have to go out on the free agent market and go get starting pitching because of injuries. You got guys coming back like Souza, like, others that I think will be serviceable arms. And you've got a pretty decent bullpen going into 2026. Hopefully Josh Hader gets fixed and everything's good with him health-wise. So you've got a good outlook in several areas, but you do have some holes, and you do have some places that are very desirable for them to fix to be considered the fourth highest or fourth most likely to make it to the World Series in 26. You're muted, Eric.
Sure. If it's other, just one source. If you're looking at all the different sources, I'm sure they're going to probably rank the Astros as lower based off what happened in 2025. But I think that a lot of people are giving them consideration of the injury factor. And I don't want to keep on going back to the injury, but like you mentioned several times, like 2026, they can't deal with as many injuries as they dealt with this past year. But who knows? But we'll talk about next what's going to happen with Framber Valdez, because Framber Valdez is basically on the clock. The Astros have until the 5th of November to decide, can they go ahead and try to negotiate a extension or re-sign him before he officially reaches free agency? Doubtful. But also they're going to definitely offer him a qualifying offer. So that will he accept it? So guys, we'll go ahead and continue this discussion next. Thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day.
Well, folks, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. I don't know if you've noticed, but the Rockets are red hot. KD has got the team rolling. I mean, they got guys coming off the bench and names that you probably haven't heard of if you haven't followed the Rockets very closely, but I'm telling you, they are can't-miss games. Whether you want to ride that opening hot hand, or you want to get in on live bets from everything that will help you score next to the fourth quarter comebacks, it is all there for you. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Look, the Rockets have been making an early and a late push. They have been guys coming off the bench shooting super efficient basketball. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go and subscribe to us. Go make it first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, go and check us out. So I know that a lot of the focus is going to be, at least at the beginning of the offseason, is what happens with Framber Valdez. And no matter how you feel about him, how he's melted down at times in the past few seasons, when he's on, he's one of the best pitchers in the game. In fact, just looking at some names out there, he's probably going to get the highest salary out there of all the free agents out there. There's some good arms out there, but Framber Valdez, his pedigree is just, it's dynamic. And the Astros have 4 days or 3 days, I guess, to negotiate a deal solely with him before he hits free agency. And so once that happens, I'm pretty sure there's a team out there, like we talked about the other day, that's going to say, hey, we can fix him. Let's go ahead and do what it takes to get the job done. I just don't see the Astros doing that, with him expecting probably about $30 million per season for more than 5 to 6 years. I just don't see the Astros doing that.
Yeah, no, I think he's going to go to a contender. I think he's going to end up, I think I mentioned it before, Boston, Seattle, San Diego, heck, the Phillies. If they're losing Ranger Suarez, that would be insane to see him in a Phillies uniform, being that he was on the mound game 6. I don't know if you saw the clip of Tyler Glasnow and Blake Snell after they won, and they said, yeah, we were both on the Rays trying to beat the Dodgers and we couldn't, so I guess you can't beat them, join them. I was like, oh my God. It's actually kind of a funny moment. Some people had some different thoughts about that, but I thought it was funny. But Framber Valdez definitely goes to a contender, Eric, and it is his durability. And we'll talk about the pitcher for the Padres here in a second. But that is the tough part about not wanting Framber to come back because of the meltdowns, but at the same time, are you cutting your nose off to spite your face because this guy gives you 180 to 200 innings? That's hard to find even among free agents that haven't dealt with a ton of injuries. Right. He's durable. He's going to be in that lineup. He's going to be in that starting rotation from beginning to end. And so how do you replace that? Now, if you go back to the Moneyball moniker, the movie, where they're like, you can't replace a Jason Giambi like as a single person, but can you replace his statistics and multiple players? I mean, are you going to have to get 2 pitchers that can each throw 100 innings in a season? And does that equal one Framber? Well, if that's the case, you're still going to have another arm to come in and kind of supplement for those lost innings for what one of those players would give you. So going to this free agent market is going to be, I think, like very poignant, that they look at guys that can stay healthy, that can be durable, that can give them a lot of innings, and who are they going to bring in to help with the pitching staff now that you only have one of your 2 guys left, and how's that going to affect their the thought process going forward?
Well, I guess before we move on to the guys that you're going to replace Framber Valdez with, I really want your honest opinion and the listeners that are listening to us live. Do you legitimately think the Astros are going to sit down with Farmer's representatives over the next few days? I'm not sure if who he's represented by, but do you think that they're going to make a legitimate attempt to re-sign him? I mean, you're talking about somebody that's looking for $33.3 million, according to Spotrac, for 6 years. That's $199.9 million that he's looking for. Do you see the Astros legitimately saying, "Hey,
no"? You're basically looking at least a Max Fried contract, what Max Fried got in New York, and that's where I just say no. That I just don't see the Astros doing it. Will the Phillies do that? Absolutely. Will the Cubs do that? I mean, they could, because they're probably not re-signing Kyle Tucker. They have a Japanese pitcher of their own that they are looking at. And then there's another guy, Tatsuya Iyami, I think is how you say it. This kid's coming in. I mean, he's going to be a stud. He may be the replacement for their current Japanese pitcher who has, not garnered that much of a salary, but you got a kid coming in that is like 27. He's going to be commanding about 160 million. So Framber's going to be on the upper end of that, Eric. I don't see Jim Crane doing an about face. Now, look what I just lost my train of thought. Look what Ben Verlander. Look what Justin Verlander did at the end of the season. Look what Max Scherzer did at the end of the season for the Blue Jays. Are the Astros going to go after a couple other mid to upper level pitchers and then bring in a veteran, bring back Justin Verlander one last ride? I mean, if you have him in a 6-man rotation, I don't see why not. I mean, there's people opining about the Dodgers possibly forcing Snell and Glasnow on the IL, people thinking that they had phantom injuries. Now, I don't know if there's anything to corroborate that, but can you find a way to bring back a stalwart pitcher like a Verlander, like a Merrill Kelly, who's a little bit older, and put them in a 6-man rotation and help them to go all year long?
Yeah, I guess that is the question. What do you do? And before we kind of move on to that part, sticking to Framber, I know we're all pretty much in agreement to the qualifying offer. They're going to accept them. They're going to get the qualifying offer, but is Framber going to accept the qualifying offer? I think the answer is no. But what the question is did the Astros exceed the CBT in 2025? If they did, then the compensatory pick will be after the 2026 fourth round. If they stayed under the CBT, then the pick would be prior to the 2026 third round if they lost Framber Valdez. So it's a big difference depending on if they fell underneath the CBT or not. Likely they were maybe right around the CBT at the end of the season. It just depends on all the assets they traded for and where you factor their salaries in and everything. So we'll have to see what the final salary number is, the CBT number, but it's a big deal. This is why you see a lot of the apprehension for adding certain players certain times, because this can come back to bite you in the butt. Because
so the Astros are at 160 million right now total payroll. Are they under the threshold?
No, it's 144, but it just depends on what the final numbers were, because the number you might be seeing may be a little bit different. So I'm pretty sure they're over. So likely it's going to be a fourth round draft pick they get back for Framber Valdez. It's better than nothing, but still, you're going to be getting it picked for. I'm sure that what's his name? Brown is going to get some votes for Cy Young. He's probably going to finish in the top 3. So you'll probably get a first round pick.
I don't know if he finishes in the top 3 though, Eric. I don't know I
Why not?
hope he does. No.
Who's above him?
Well, Garrett Crochet.
Okay.
Eric Skubal, Garrett Crochet, and probably I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at the pitcher rankings at the end, but there were about 2 or 3 others that were listed. He was listed number 6 in the American League at the end of at an end of season, like
For ERA
power
or
ranking, no, just power ranking poll
okay.
of the pitchers. He was like number 6. I forget who the other American League pitchers
We
were.
could save this for another show, but definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey guys, we got all off season to talk about this, but right now we're talking about a big Padre that opted out of his contract with the Padres. Could he be an option for the Houston Astros? Maybe a Framber Valdez alternative? We'll talk about that next on the Locked On Astros podcast.
Hey everybody, this episode is brought to you by Game Time, and the NFL season is back. And honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout. It's frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I pulled up Game Time, just a couple taps. I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite NFL games as low as $100. The app made it super simple that I can see the extra. I can see the exact seat view from my seat before buying. I love the zone deals too. I've used them. I know Eric has used them. Pick the section. Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way that I bought tickets. So download the Game Time app today. Create an account and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download Game Time today.
Hey guys, thank you for watching the Locked On Astros podcast, making us part of your daily routine. Go and subscribe to us. Go and make us first listen Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check us out. We'll be here all off season. We're your team every day, and go ahead and this off season is going to be an interesting journey because last year was interesting with the whole changing of guard of not only of letting Alex Bregman go, but making the decision to trade Kyle Tucker for multiple players. Now I think Dana Brown is at a point where they think that they're still a good organization. Obviously, people from the outside still think that they are so. So what do they do now? They don't have a lot of assets to trade without really, really hampering the future of the farm system and the Astros organization as a whole. So maybe free agency is going to be the way to go, but then they don't like to pay a lot of money for their free agents. So it's kind of a catch-22, and what do they do here? So I know Michael Keane is a guy that I've been watching, especially with fantasy baseball, especially in this time with the Yankees and last year with the Padres, or last couple of years with the Padres. But he opted out of his deal with the Padres, and he became a free agent. So, Brett, you really think the Astros have a chance to sign Michael Keane?
Yeah, I mean, I think he is a realistic guy. I mean, you look at his 2025, he had a down year because of injuries. But overall, if you look at what he's done, in 2024, he pitched 173 innings. He had a 1.19 whip. I mean, his off-speed run value is in the 91st percentile. He's in the lower end of ground ball percentage, but this guy has 5 pitches, a sinker, a 4-seam, a changeup, a sweeper, and a slider. He relies heavily on the sinker and the 4-seam. But look, Michael King is 30 years old. Guy's 6'3". Outside of this last year has appeared to be very durable. And if you look at what he garners in the way of salary, he is a realistic option. Of course, all we have to go off of are estimations, and the market value for him is $23 million a year. A 4-year, $91 million deal is what they say, with an average salary of 22.9. I think that's not a bad salary. And he's a guy that I think is a realistic target. I will say this, as we're talking, they're actually announcing the Gold Glove winners on ESPN. Bobby Witt Jr. Won the Gold Glove for shortstop again this year. They have not announced the utility player yet, but they have announced several positions. And if they announce Dubon as a Gold Glove winner, we'll let you know live. But Michael King is just a name that I like. I think you can bring in someone like him. Maybe you can bring in someone you've got to. I mean, can you imagine bringing in Michael King? I don't know if you could bring in Ranger Suarez too, but here are some other names, Eric. Over here, we've got a lot of guys that are in the $10 to $15 million range. Zach Gallen, only 30 years old, 13 million. Dylan Cease, 29.8, 13 million. Now his market value is 26. So that skyrockets you probably out of his stratosphere. Zach Eflin could be an option. Merrill Kelly is a solid option, but he is 37. So I think you want to try to stay away from the guys like Nestor Cortez. The guys like Zach Littell may actually be someone you look at 30 years old. But to me, you got to look at guys that are around 30, and that should be where you set them. And then you look at their market value. You don't want to go too high on this, because if you're not willing to pay for a guy who is going to be in there, who's going to be a lockdown guy, who is a ground ball pitcher, who is a master at spin rate in Framber Valdez, you have to go with a little bit cheaper option, but you've got to see what their durability is. Of course, Michael King would have to go through physicals. They'd have to probably, they would probably want to see where he's at throwing wise. But I think Michael King makes a lot of sense for the Houston Astros in 2026. But getting him and at least one or two other guys, you also add maybe a Justin Verlander, putting him as a six-man rotation. I mean, why the heck not?
I just don't think that the Astros have the ability to go out and get not starting pitchers. They can go out and get a guy like King and maybe a journeyman guy like they have in the past. But I know that Shamrock says that I love to get top-notch pitching like Cease, but we need to get some bats to give these guys some run support. I do agree that they need some more offense, but there's not a lot of places to put them. You're already kind of having to find a place for Brady's, especially with Gray on the team. But if you watch the World Series, pitching was the name of the game. And the Dodgers kind of threw everybody in Game 7, even the guy that pitched the day before, Yamamoto, and he ended up being the MVP of the World Series because he was just that dominant throughout the whole time. But I think that if you really want to be a legit playoff contender, you can't go in with Hunter Brown and then maybe Christian Javier, who you're hoping to kind of rebound and be the guy that we saw in certain stints last year, and Jason Alexander, who we love him to death, but will he be able to duplicate what he did last year? And the rest of the guys. So you need another guy out there, and I just don't think that they're going to go out there and spend all this money on starting pitching. I just really don't. I think that they'll go out and get one free agent, and then they'll probably get one bullpen arm, maybe another bat. But I just don't see them going out there and doing a lot. I could be wrong.
Yeah. I mean, well, I know. I just think that if the Astros, here's the question. Do the Astros want to win now? Or do they want to win later? And with 2027 looming, the possible work stoppage. Now, Mike Stanton does believe that the Houston Astros will not, that the league will not go into another work stoppage. He's convinced that they're going to get something done because he thinks right now baseball is at the height of its popularity. There's more people going to the baseball games. There's more people spending. And all that stuff. So who knows? But I think such a time as this, and as much as people are hating on the Dodgers for not having a quote unquote homegrown team and free agents, I mean, free agency is kind of the name of the game right now. And are the Astros willing, because they don't have a ton right now in the minor league system? Are they going to have to go out there and break the bank a little bit? Are they going to have to stretch the wallet, the pocketbook a little bit to have immediate results here in Houston? And that's what's going to happen, a change in philosophy from the ownership group.
And to go off of what you're just saying, why are the Dodgers not a homegrown team? Because they have consistently won, just like the Houston Astros. And when you have to win, you trade away your future. And so you have to bring in other players to replace the guys that should have been playing for your team, because you traded them away for Mookie Betts. You traded them away for all these other guys. Freddie Freeman, I think, signed. I don't really know how they got there, but you get the idea. You had to trade players to get them to where they are now. So did the Houston Astros. The Astros just don't have this unlimited pocketbook like the Dodgers do. They don't have the market like the Dodgers do, especially with Shohei Ohtani going out there. That expanded their market a lot with the Japanese market.
Yeah, no. And someone says, what about Scooble? No, if Scooble goes anywhere from Detroit, he's going to LA. I'm sorry to tell you. Scooble's
Why
either
we just give him Tucker too, Brett? Who else do you want to give him?
Well, I'm sorry. I mean, they seem to lap up all the talent, and look,
they do need another outfielder.
I mean, think about it. Look what they did. And this is what a Dodgers fan told me. He said, you can moan all you want to, right? But he said the Dodgers went out and spent money even after they won a title. And not many teams do that. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I think it sucks. I don't like LA being as dominant as they are. They're the new evil empire. But at the same time, I'm not saying the Astros have to become the LA Dodgers, and I don't want the Astros to, but the Astros have got to get out of there. We're not going to sign a guy for this many years or this much money, because that's where the game is trending. That's where it's trending, and it's not going down anytime soon. Altuve's getting old. Alvarez can't stay healthy for a whole season. You've got pitchers that are it's like 3 or 4 coming back from TJ. I mean, so you are going to have to get a lot more creative than what you've done. And while you are probably correct in your estimation of what they aren't going to do, they're going to have to be willing to do something a little bit more than they've done in the past in order to compete with these teams. Again, if you get in the playoffs, the Blue Jays were right there. The Blue Jays were right there. They lost that World Series by millimeters. Okay. And I'm using a metric term because they're in Canada. But they lost it by millimeters. It's insane how close it was. And I'll say it till my dying breath. They were the better team, but the better team doesn't always win.
Yeah. And it's just the Astros, whether Jim Crane is right or wrong, he's treating this as he looks at the lifespan of the contracts, and he's seen all these contracts of the year. Albert Pujols, no matter who it is, the value of the contracts diminish towards the end of the contracts, and so that's why they typically only do 5-year deals. And so it's not like he's, I'm just being a jerk or anything. He's looking at it a little bit different. When you have Steve Cohen and whoever the owner of the Dodgers is, it's not Magic Johnson, is it? Or it's his group, I think, that owns the Dodgers, or maybe it's vice versa, but whatever. That leadership group has said, look, we're going to do whatever it takes to win and consistently win and win some ball games and win World Series. And I know Jim Crane says we'll do whatever, as long as I'm here, the window's not going to be closed. But like you said, all these other teams are becoming these mega teams, and you have the Astros just losing player after player after player. But to their credit, they continue to win. But Brett, we have all offseason to talk about this, and the World Series just ended yesterday. So let's not go ahead and talk about everything tonight. Guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe to us. Go and make us first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, go and check us out. And Brett?
Well, guess what? I think Mauricio Dubon may have won the Gold Glove, but they haven't announced it yet. Okay. I thought they've announced it. Sorry. Ghost Rose. Dang it. I thought they've announced it already.
All right. We'll go and jump in and do a special one if he wins. But guys, we'll see you tomorrow on Ghost Rose.